Welcome everybody to today's live webinar. We are covering getting to know your e-library, movies, music, and more. My name is Rebecca Van Dusen, and I am a library associate here at the Champaign Public Library. If you've attended any tech workshops in person or virtually, you've probably seen me assisting with those, and I also will occasionally teach a class. And I also work at the information desk. So if you are in the library in person, you'll probably see me on the second floor. Sometimes I'm always also on the first floor. And before I introduce our technology librarian, Susan Winkler, I'd like to mention that we are open to the public, but you can also give us a call. You can chat with us online through our website, or you can always email us too at librarian@champaign.org. And I'll put that info into the chat as well. And we are still continuing to offer our curbside services. So if you don't want to come inside, you can check that out through our website and pick up any holds that you're waiting for. We are also offering a book a librarian service virtually. So if you need one-on-one help with like a more in-depth tech question, we can help with that. To request a session, you'll visit champaign.org/book-a-librarian. And I'll put that into the chat as well. Once you visit that website, you'll just fill out the form there, and then a staff member here will correspond with you either over email or by phone, and then set up a way to meet. And let's also go ahead and go over some Zoom features available. So if you hover your mouse over near the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a couple buttons come up. You'll see a little chat bubble button. If you click on that, that's going to open the chat, and then you can send us questions during the webinar. So I'll be in the background while Susan is doing the demos and covering everything we're doing today. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to, correspond with you. And I'll also pose questions to Susan during the webinar. So if you want to see any demonstration over again, or you have a question, feel free to pop that into the chat. You'll also see a little raise hand icon. If you click on that icon, that will let us know that you want to maybe speak your question rather than writing it out in the chat box. So we use that quite often if somebody wants to speak. The main thing is basically, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Don't feel like you're interrupting. That's what we're here for. We definitely want to make sure that we get your questions answered. I think I've covered everything unless I forgot something, but I'll go ahead and welcome Susan Winkler, our technology librarian. How are you today, Susan?
I'm good. How are you, Rebecca?
I'm doing very, very well. It's very nice outside today.
It is nice outside, which is nice for me because I like it when it gets warmer outside.
Same.
Once it's also, once the snow starts melting, I like it a little better. But
I'm the same.
today we are discussing your e-library here through the Champaign Public Library, and we are discussing our movies, music, and more, which you can get through our services called Kanopy and Hoopla. So today we'll be discussing primarily those two. However, if you have questions about Overdrive Libby, we can discuss that too, and we can also answer questions about that service as well. But we are going to start with our focus on the apps that we have that will let you get movies and music, as well as audiobooks and ebooks. So, okay. I'm going to go ahead and start by sharing my screen. We're going to share our PowerPoint here. So I'm hoping you can see.
Yep, I can see that.
Do the PowerPoint. All right. So today is movies, music, and more. Okay. So what we're going to discuss today, we're going to talk about the e-library section of our website in general, and then we'll go over Hoopla specifically. We'll talk about how to sign in and get an account, how to search and browse for movies and music and other materials. We're going to check out how to see the title and the details, like the synopsis of it, what's it all about. We're going to check something out, and then we're going to talk about how to watch or listen to it on a computer. We are demoing everything today on a desktop computer, so we'll start there. But there is also an app, and you can use it on a mobile device like an iPhone or an iPad, or an Android device, or like a Surface tablet. Pretty much most modern devices you can actually use it on within an app. So, and then we'll go over the My Account section and how to set your settings how you want them. And then we'll switch to Kanopy. And we'll talk about Kanopy, how to create an account, how to explore and search for movies, how to check out and watch those movies in your browser. And again, the My Account section where you can change your settings and things like that. And then I'm going to show you how to find these things in the library catalog, that is the Champaign Public Library catalog. So then you know if you're searching for something and you're looking for, say, the DVD of something, if the DVD is checked out and you can see that we have it through Hoopla or Kanopy, you could also use that option as well. All right. Any questions about our agenda today? Jumping right in there.
I think we're good so far, but
All
I'll
right.
keep an eye out.
Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the e-library section. So the e-library section of our website actually has three tabs that you can utilize. And the first one is ebooks by collection. Second one is ebooks by device. And the third one is called online tools. We are going to concentrate mostly today on the ebooks by collection and ebooks by device. However, I do want to mention that the online tools section is a really great section for you to explore on your own if you have time, or if you catch any of our other get to know your e-library workshops that we have, where we talk about some of those resources individually. So most of the resources that are in the online tools section are things like consumer reports, LinkedIn Learning and Gale Courses, which I always like to mention LinkedIn Learning and Gale Courses because they do have videos, and Gale Courses is 6-week-long courses in technology topics, as well as all sorts of other topics like public speaking and other various cool things that you could utilize just by having a Champaign library card. Okay, so it is a really cool section of our site to take a look at, especially if you're doing research for school or anything like that too. So, but again, today we're going to focus on ebooks by collection and ebooks by device, because those are the gateway to all of our digital books, digital magazines, music, and movies. All right, so when we talk about the ebooks by collection section, what you get to do is you pick from the left side categories, you pick what type of material, as we say, you'd like to watch or read or listen. So you'd say, okay, I want to listen to an audiobook on my phone. So then you would pick audiobooks and you would pick your phone, and then you would see on the right-hand side which services offer that capability for your device. So you'd pick the top of the item that you want on the left menu, you pick your device from the list, the available services will then appear on the right, and then you can click on that service to learn more about it, and you can click Use to go directly to that service. Okay. Ebooks by device works the same way. It just gives you the option to start with your device specifically, and then see which materials your device has available to it, and then the available services again will appear on the right. So I'm going to go ahead and demo this live. So let's jump out of there. Can you see? I think I'm going to have to share my screen, so hold on one second. Let me go ahead and do new share. And I'm going to share ebooks by collection, which is on this one. Okay, so I'm hoping, can you see did it switch?
Yes, it went to our website page.
Okay, so you can see
Ebooks by collection is the title of the page.
Perfect, that you can see. Okay, perfect. All righty. So, oops, I'm going to come over here. So ebooks by collection, again, I'm going to let it reload here. As I said, for this one, this is if you were coming and saying, you know, I really want ebooks on my device. So you could come to the ebooks list, and then you could pick from the available options. Now, since today's class is about movies and music, I'm going to come down here to movies and TV and pick that. And let's say I have an iPhone or an iPad. I can click on iPhone, iPad down here, and you'll see the two services that we're covering today, which is Hoopla and Kanopy. And both of these services are available if you have a Champaign Public Library card. If you have a card from another library, you'd want to check with your home library to see if they have access to these collections. Typically, what you need to do is you need to put in your library card and PIN number when you first get an account, and then an email address and a password. Okay, and we're going to go through that in just a second as well. I wanted to show you ebooks by collection, and then we picked movies and TV, and we get our choices here. If we pick music, and let's say we again have an iPad, that's going to be through Hoopla. Okay, so Hoopla has movies and music, also has audiobooks and ebooks and graphic novels. Okay, if I go to ebooks by device, hoping that one switched. Yep. Okay, and I have an iPhone or iPad, and let's say I want to see what movies and TV. Again, these are your options for movies and TV. So you have two different ways of searching for what you're looking for. You can either search by what device you have, or you can search by the material that you want. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay, I am going to just tap on online tools here real quick just to show you. The online tools section here, it is broken down into categories on the left-hand side. They work the same way. So if you pick research and reference, you're going to get a filtered list of things that we specifically put in that research and reference category. If you go down to education and test prep and education, here are those two resources that I just talked about. Gale Courses, which is the 6-week courses taught by college instructors. There's also discussion sections, there's lessons each week, there's quizzes. And then down here, LinkedIn Learning is another resource that we have where it's video tutorials that can help you learn how to use different software, computer programming. There's also stuff on customer service and management. Lots of good stuff in there. I highly recommend checking out those two resources as well. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go back to our eLibrary page here. So the first page you'd get to that, again, champaign.org/e-library. And Rebecca, if you'll go ahead and put that in the chat as well, that's the section of the website that you would go to. And then you can pick ebooks by collection or ebooks by device. Okay, alrighty. And then I'm going to go ahead and jump back to the PowerPoint here. And we'll move on. Okay, any questions about that section of our website?
I haven't seen any questions so far, but I did put the link into the chat.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Okay, so here's a little bit of information about our two resources that we're covering today. So Hoopla and Kanopy are both available to Champaign cardholders. And again, others should check with their home library. They're free to use. There's no overdue fees. Just like actually now with Champaign Public Library items, there actually are no fees for the physical collection items either. They do require an internet they require the internet to initially access them. You do have to have a connection to either download the app and or download the books and movies and music and check everything out. You can use it on a computer through your browser, which is what we're going to use for our demo today. Or you can do it on a phone or a tablet where you download the apps from your app store. So for Google Play Store, if you have Android, or the App Store, if you have an iOS device like an iPhone or an iPad. Okay, you are going to need to know some information, your library card number and your PIN number, your device account name and password, which just means if you have a Google account or an Apple ID, you may need to know those in order to download the apps. Okay, all right. Any questions about that? And if you don't remember your PIN number or your library card, you can also call the library and we can look up your information by having you give us a little bit of information to confirm your identity, and then we can help you get started with those too. Okay.
We don't have any questions. Oh, we just got one in actually. Someone's asking, let's see. can you put all that in once and have it be saved for the future? I'm guessing that's referring to the library card number once you log in.
Yes. So once you've logged in for the first time and you've created your account, the library card and PIN number are stored within the app or within the browser up there. And in the future, when you go to log in, you just need the email address and the password that you create. So you'll need to know the email address and the password to log in the future to both of these services. If you do get a new library card, that's okay. You can always go into your settings and update the information with the new card number and new PIN number too, if you change it. So, but yeah, most of the time, and I don't want to say 100% of the time, but I will say most of the time, that stuff, the card and PIN, you only need it the first time you set up your account. I say that because sometimes if they run an update, you might have to put it in again. Okay, good.
My
Great question.
experience is the same. I think if you're not logging out, you should be okay. I also just keep my library card number in my phone. So I have saved it in my phone as a contact. So that's a useful way. And I don't have to go scrounging for my card wherever that might be. So that's just a little library hack that I have.
And it's nice if you remember your card number too, you can also check your account online through the library catalog too, and you can see if you have fees, you can place holds on items. So you can do a lot of stuff. And if you know your library card and PIN number, you can do a whole lot of stuff online with the regular library collection as well. So I actually have mine memorized, but I work here, so I'm used to putting in card numbers for people.
I have mine memorized too.
So, and I understand if you do not. Great question. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about both services, and don't worry about writing any of this down. I don't know if we mentioned at the beginning of the workshop today, but we do send out a follow-up email after the workshop with the PowerPoint slides as a handout. So all of this will be sent to you in a follow-up email. So don't worry about writing any of this down today. You'll have it for your records basically after today. So Hoopla has ebooks, e-audiobooks, comics, movies, music, and TV shows. You can stream the titles over an internet connection or download them to your device. So to stream the titles, that means you have to have an active internet connection. So either you're on a Wi-Fi connection at home, or you have cellular data on your phone, or you're wherever you are, in like a cafe with Wi-Fi or something, you're streaming it over the Wi-Fi. You can also download many of the titles to your device. I do recommend you do the downloading over a Wi-Fi connection, or just because the cellular data, if you have a data plan that only has a certain amount per month that you're given, the downloading does take a little time and it does take up some of your data. So it's good to either stream the titles over your internet connection or download them to your device while you have an internet or Wi-Fi connection. Okay, and we can get into that more detail about that in a little bit too. The things that you check out, they do have certain time frames depending on the type of item it is. So ebooks and audiobooks and comics check out for 21 days. Movies and TV check out for 3 days. And music checks out for 7 days. This is a little different than with some of our other services. So each service has a set amount of time for how long you can check things out for. You typically can check out up to 10 items per month. I believe right now we did increase this thanks to the situation that we're in right now. So I believe it's actually 20 at the moment. The really nice thing about Hoopla and Kanopy is that there's no waiting for items. You don't ever have to put something on hold. It is available immediately. It's also available 24/7 unless they're doing maintenance on the site. So you could log into Hoopla at midnight and decide you want to watch a movie and just get on there and pick it and watch it. Okay. Again, it is for Champaign cardholders. But you could check and see, I believe Urbana has Hoopla as well. So you could check with your home library and see what they have. And they may have a different amount of items that you could check out. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go through the whole process of signing in to get a new account with Hoopla. So the first thing we're going to do is go to champaign.org/Hoopla, or you can go again through that e-library, ebooks by device, or ebooks by collection, and then pick Hoopla from the list. Okay, and then you're going to click on Get Started Today if you haven't gotten an account yet. Okay, if you already have an account, you would use this section here where it says put in, you'd put in your email address and your password and then hit login. So again, after you've done the Get Started and you get your account for the first time, after that, every time you log in, it's going to be using an email address and a password. Okay. If you're signing up for the first time, it's going to prompt you to enter an email address and a password. And you can use whatever password you want. You can make a totally new one for Hoopla specifically. I do recommend you use an email address that you check regularly, just because they do send notifications to your email with new content, when they have new content or whenever they do advertisement of things that may be leaving the service or things they may be adding to the service. And then you tap agree. And then on the next section, you'll need to enter your library card number and PIN number. Okay, questions about the process? I'm going to go ahead and demo just the beginning of that process. We've already got ours signed in, so I'm going to share here. Let's go from here. Okay, so here we are. So if I was to go directly into it, I could go ahead and just put in Hoopla like that. And it's going to take me to the Hoopla page here. And then I can tap where it says use Hoopla, or I can get it from the e-library page, ebooks by collection. Again, pick movies or whatever you want, audiobooks, ebooks. Come here and tap Hoopla, or tap the icon for Hoopla over here, the image of the logo. Okay, so if I hit use Hoopla, it's going to come up here. And then here's where I could get started or log in up at the top. Okay, so if I hit get started today, here's the page that comes up, do everything there, and then hit agree. Then it'll ask you for your library card and PIN number. Okay, questions about signing up?
I think we are good so far.
Okay, if you do, feel free to send a message directly to Rebecca or me as the panelists, and we can help troubleshoot anything that happens along the way if you decide you want to sign up right away. You can also watch this whole demo, and we'll put the recording up on our YouTube channel. So if you prefer to watch it on YouTube at the same time that you're creating your account, that's okay too. And again, our staff members are always here. You can call us. Again, we can set up those book a librarian appointments for you. We can troubleshoot over the phone. And we can troubleshoot over email. So there's multiple ways to get in touch with us to help you get started with it. All right. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and jump back here. I wish there was an easy way to jump from the live demo right into the PowerPoint. Maybe that's something that Zoom will be able to do in the future. For now, we have to jump back and forth a little bit here, but okay. So once you've signed into Hoopla, the first page you're going to come to is the My Hoopla page, which is going to show you items that you currently have checked out. It's going to show you what you recently checked out. And it's going to provide you with some recommendations that the system has generated based on what you've previously checked out. And then there's also a spot for your favorites. And in a little bit, I'll show you how to pick things that you want to put on that favorites list. Okay. The next thing you can do, of course, is search. You can search for everything if you want. You can limit by, again, the item type. like audiobooks or movies, or you can limit to certain categories and subjects. Oops, sorry, let me go back for a second. You can do publishers and you can do series. And we're going to live demo this in just a second. So if you start thinking about stuff that you might be interested in a minute, I'm going to ask people to give me some suggestions of what movies or TV or music you might want me to search for. So think of some artists or some TV shows or movies that you've really enjoyed, and we'll search for them. Okay. You can also filter your search results. So for example, here on the our slide demo, we've searched for cats in everything, just a very broad search for cats. If you know that Rebecca and I tend to use cats as our examples often in our workshops. So we've searched here for cats. Then on the left-hand side, there's going to be a spot where you can limit by different things. The format, meaning you could limit by audiobooks, ebooks, movies, music, graphic novels. You can limit by user rating. That's done by people who have rated the items in the collection and given it 1 star to 5 stars. The release date of the item, if you want something that's really recent, you can pick the release date and it'll sort by the most recent. You can also do the date added to the collection. The date added to the collection may not be the most recent release date for something. So we may have gotten it later because Hoopla is negotiating all the rights to these things kind of behind the scenes. Okay. We do also have some materials in other languages. We also have the ability to have closed captions in other languages and subtitles in other languages. So there is also a children's section. If you notice over here where it says kids off on the right-hand side. So you can also limit to titles that are available just for in the children's collection. Okay. You can exclude abridged. This is specific when it comes to audiobooks. A lot of audiobooks in our collection are unabridged, but some are the abridged versions, which means that the abridged versions are not word for word what the printed material is. It means, instead of taking every page exactly as it is written and then speaking it, it's abridged, which means they've dropped off some stuff that they didn't feel was as important or integral to the plot. So you could exclude the abridged stuff. And then PA stands for parental advisory. So if you wanted to exclude music that has a parental advisory label, you could do that as well. Now, I will say that with Hoopla and with Kanopy, we are not restricting access in any way. So you do want to make sure that if you're introducing this to other members of your family, that you all decide what's best for everyone in the family to watch or check out. Okay, that's up to you. Okay, you can sort your results as well. So here we've sorted by default, relevance, popularity, alphabetical, and then again, you could sort by the user rating, the date it's added to the collection, or the release date. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop there and go ahead and do a demo, and then we'll talk about the advanced search here too. So let's go ahead and stop that sharing, and we'll go ahead and I have logged in over here. I think I'm on this one. All right. So I've already logged into my Hoopla, which is our demo card. So it would come up to this page here, and you can see currently, and yes, I did this deliberately. So you can see that I have downloaded, or sorry, I haven't downloaded, but I've borrowed an iPhone user guide right here. And you'll see how many more titles I can borrow for the month. So each month, you can check out those 10 or 20, in this case, titles. It does roll over at the beginning of the next month. So you have 20 titles for February, and then you would have 20 new titles for March. And if you don't use them, they just go away. So I do recommend, if you're going to check out TV shows, one episode of a TV show counts as a checkout. So for TV shows, which typically have 14 to 20 episodes, it's good to, for me, I like to binge watch them at the end of a month where, I'll start on Saturday and go through Sunday. And then when it rolls over to the next month, so I can do it on the 30th or 31st, then it rolls over to the 1st, then I get my 10 new titles so I can finish the season. So that's a little insider tip for you today. Insider librarian tip from someone that also uses Hoopla. So anyway, for music, every album is a checkout, not every song. So you can check out one full album. So, okay, any questions so far before I jump in here?
Someone is asking, is it 10 titles per month or 10 at a time maximum?
Yes, so it's 10 titles per month. So once you've checked out 10 titles, you're done for the month. So instead of like Overdrive, which lets you check out 5 titles, you return one, you can check out a new one, it's 10 total, and that's the maximum for the month. So it's 10 as a finite number. Yeah, great question. So, and right now it's actually 20. So, because of the current situation that we're in. Okay, great question. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you real quick. So here we have what we've currently borrowed as part of my Hoopla. Recommended titles based on the fact that I think we checked out a Foils War episode recently. So it's gonna recommend others in that series. And then the favorites are things that we've picked that we've chose to be part of our favorites. So what I like to do is, as I'm going through and I'm browsing, I will put a little heart, there's a little heart icon, and I'll show you that in a moment too. And I'll put that on anything that I want to possibly check out later, so that when I reach my 10, if I go in the next month and I'm like, all right, what do I want? And I can go look through that list I've already generated and pick those titles too. So that's what you can do with the favorites down here. And I'll give you an example of that in a moment. I just wanted to give you a little bit about that home page. All right, so I'm hoping you all have been thinking about stuff you might want to search for in Hoopla, because now is the time. I'm going to ask, what would you like to look for? And you can go ahead and put it in the chat. You can search for a movie title or an artist, a musical artist if you want, a graphic novel. We can do audiobooks and or ebooks too. So whatever you prefer. Okay.
Someone says cats,
Yes. All right. Yes. Let's do the cat search.
like the movie Cats.
Yes. Well, okay. So we'll do the search for cats, and we can search for the movie. We can search movies and see if cats comes up. Okay. So if you noticed what I did here, so we're going to narrow it down from everything to movies specifically, because we're looking for the movie, a movie about cats or the movie Cats, and we'll see what we get. Okay. All right. So here are all of the movies that come up with cat in their title or as a subject. We've already narrowed down our format, if you see on the left-hand side, because we picked movies up here. User rating, we could pick to have only the things people have rated with 5 stars, or we could pick what people have rated with 1 star if we really wanted to be like, let's see what movies people didn't really like, because we're curious. The release date, if you want within the last 12 months. And I think the Cats movie did come out in the last 12 months. So it looks like we maybe don't have the Cats that we're thinking of as in the Broadway musical that was redone in movie form. But we do have some other recent ones, like A Cat in Paris as a cartoon here. If we didn't want to narrow it to the last 12 months, we could click there again and everything will come back. Date added to the collection. Again, we could pick the last 6 months, 12 months, or even the last week. Okay. Language, we could pick English, French, German. So you can just, you have to pick which language you want. Or we can also, again, limit to children's titles only. So this would be children's titles only. Okay. All right. And then we can sort them. So we've gotten all these results, these 43 results for cats. We can also sort by popularity. Let's see which one's the most popular. Looks like cat chaser and then kittens. This one looks really cute. So I can see why that would still be very, very popular. So you can see I just tapped on the title on the cover image to get more information about the movie Kittens. Okay, I'll go back here. Could also pick A to Z, and then it would start. And in this case, it starts with A for cat, like a cat in Paris, whereas our catalog would ignore A. You could do, and again, the user rating, date added to collection, and release date. Okay, all right. So let me go back home here. So that's a little bit about searching. If we want, let's go ahead and search for, maybe have another suggestion for searching, and I'll show how the advanced search works. Just need a subject here. So maybe Star Wars, since I see it down here. Or how about music?
Someone says Downton Abbey.
Okay. Let's see what we've got for Downton Abbey. Okay, and you can see here the search suggestions that come up. We've got an author and people, and then we've got titles and the series. So let's go ahead and hit Downton Abbey. All right, so it looks like we have an official Downton Abbey cocktail book, afternoon tea cookbook. We've got music from the series, which is very good. Let's say we were looking specifically for the cookbooks. So we could do Downton Abbey here, but we could also do an advanced search here. And if we click on advanced search, we could search specifically by a title, by the people, keywords. So here we could put Downton Abbey. And then we could also put the word, what did I say, cookbook? And we could put cookbook in there. We could select our format to be sure and say we only want ebooks. And we're just curious about our ebooks here. And then we could hit submit. And then we'll get just these two cookbooks, the Downton Abbey official cookbook and the afternoon tea cookbook for Downton Abbey. Okay, so that's also how you can use the advanced search. So you can do it in one fell swoop with the advanced search here, or you can use the browsing capabilities to search over here on the left-hand side too. Okay, all right. I'm going to go ahead and jump back to our PowerPoint here. Any questions about searching?
Someone did ask earlier about quotes. Can you use quotes in your search?
You can, yes. You can, yeah. If you want to search for a specific phrase, you can put it into the keyword search with the quotes around it as a specific keyword phrase. Yeah, I wouldn't put it in for the title. The title is a more exact search. If you know parts of the title, but you're not totally confident in the title, I would go ahead and use the keyword field instead and put in whatever words you're pretty sure in the title, and that should bring it up. But yeah, you can use quotes. Great question. All right. Okay, so we talked about how to we're going to talk about how to browse for items now, which is a little different than searching. It's a little bit more like you walked into the library and you were browsing the shelves of DVDs and you just said, okay, I'm looking at drama because I feel like watching a drama tonight. And we're going to go through and kind of browse the subject for those movies. Okay. So there are a couple of different ways you can browse for items. You can do it as soon as you select so if we selected the category of movies, then you have recommended movies, featured movies, popular movies, or categories of movies. And the top categories are going to be things like romance, science fiction, fantasy, these like 90s favorites, all of that kind of stuff there. And that's going to be how you would do categories. For popular, and I'm going to show you this live in just a second. Recommendations, and this is why I say that, recommended movies are going to come from things that you've already picked from in your settings. You can go into your settings and pick what kind of things you want to show up when you browse. So I will show you this now. And we'll go into again. So let's go ahead and we're going to go and just tap on browse. Okay. So if we were browsing, let's browse movies. So we're going to browse movies. So if you see what I did, there's this little box up here where it says Hoopla. That's the home page, My Hoopla, where all of your stuff is, and then Browse. And we're going to tap where it says Browse. Okay, and once we're on Browse, then we can pick from our type of collection. So audiobooks, movies, music, comics, ebooks, or television. So let's go ahead and pick movies. And now that we're on the movie page, you can see there's this recommended list, featured, popular, and categories. And it automatically starts on popular, which is going to be what's most popular among everybody that uses the Hoopla service. Okay, so that's across libraries. Okay, if I went to recommended, here are things that are recommended for me. And if you were wondering why these are the titles that are coming up under recommended for me, and then down at the bottom where you see recommendation settings, tap on that. And here's where you can pick if you want only specific categories to show up in those recommended movie lists. So you could pick action, adventure, drama. If you wanted, like exercise DVDs, and that's all you were interested in from Hoopla, you could select health and fitness, and it would only be exercise DVDs. Okay, so that's where you can kind of make those selections. Okay, so let's go back to Browse Movies, and I'll show you featured. Featured are ones that Hoopla is just featuring at that time. They may be new, they may be older. It just depends. Okay, and then categories. This is where you can see all of the different categories here. So if you were most interested in watching a suspenseful movie tonight, you could hit suspense and thriller. And then that's going to bring up the selection of suspense and thriller movies. Okay. And again, from here, you can go ahead and narrow down your search by the user rating or the release date or the language, thing like that. Okay. Any questions about browsing?
We're good so far.
I'll go back to movies. Okay. All right, let me jump back into the PowerPoint. Okay, so, oops, that's browsing. Okay, so once you find a movie that you're in, a movie or something else that you're interested in checking out, if you want more information about it, all you have to do is tap on the title and the cover image. Then you can find out more about it. You can find out the stars of the movie, you get a synopsis, and then down here at the bottom, the rate this title, this is where you can rate it yourself, and then that gets logged in that user rating category. You can borrow it, and this little heart, remember when I said I would show you about the favorites? So that little heart is where you could put it on a list of favorites. So if you didn't have enough checkouts for it this month, but you're like, oh, I missed that movie, I want to check that out, you could heart it and put it on your favorites list. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the checkout process with the screenshots, and then we'll actually do it live. So let's say I wanted to check out Ella Enchanted, so I tapped on borrow. The next thing that comes up is that it's going to ask you to confirm that you want to borrow the title, and you're going to say yes, go ahead and borrow the title. It's going to tell you how long you have it, so it's 3 days. Oops. So it's 3 days after you borrow it. And then it is going to tell you whether or not that particular title is available for streaming and or downloading. Some of them are only available for streaming. That is due to publisher's choice and what the negotiation agreement that they made with Hoopla was for. Okay. Once you've borrowed the title, then it'll tell you how long you have it for. Then you can tap play to play it right off of the computer or whatever device you've borrowed it on. Or it'll say download to your device, and then you can download it. So for example, if you were traveling and you weren't going to have Wi-Fi while you were traveling, you could download it ahead of time. Say if your phone had to be in airplane mode, you could download it ahead of time and then still access it while you didn't have Wi-Fi. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, then you can play it. And this is just what the screen looks like, where you'll be playing it off of. In the bottom left, you have the play button. So it looks a lot like YouTube if you've ever played a movie or a video on YouTube. You have your play button in the left corner, your volume controls. You have your time bar telling you how much you've watched out of the movie there. On the right-hand side, you have, on the bottom right-hand side, I should say, you have how long the movie is, subtitle and subtitle settings, and then putting it into full screen. And up at the top right, this button here is for Chromecast. So if you want to cast it to a TV. So if you're checking it out on your phone, that's a pretty tiny screen. If you have more than one person who wants to watch it, you might want to cast it to a TV, and then you could watch it on a bigger screen. Okay. And then there's the chance to, if you have any issues with it playing, you can report that to Hoopla with the little exclamation point, and then you can close the player. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go over music controls too, and then we're going to check out both movie and some music. So think about what kind of music you like to listen to, and then I'll ask in a moment for someone to volunteer what kind of music we should search for. Okay, so once you've checked out music, you get the song list off on the side. So your song list is going to be here. When you tap on one, then it'll come down in the player down here. And then you can hit the play button to play it, can jump forward and back. And then over on the very right-hand side, you have your volume button for your music. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop there, and we'll come back to this in a moment. But I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and check out something fun. All right. So here we are, and let's go ahead and go to music. And actually, let's start with movies. All right, so let's go ahead and go to movies. Anybody have a suggestion for a type of movie or a movie you want to see if we have that we could check out? And you can go ahead and just put it in the chat if you have an idea. Any thoughts, suggestions? If not, I'm gonna pick something fun like a cartoon. So let's go to animation and cartoons. All right, let's go for, let's see. Well, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go over here to movies, and I'm gonna say, let's find one that users really liked. Okay. So, oh, okay, Babes. I think I know Babes in Toyland. I think I've seen that before. But Princess Emmy sounds kind of interesting. I'm going to go ahead and pick Princess Emmy. Okay, let's learn more about it. Okay, oh, she can speak to horses. See, that's perfect for me. I used to ride horses. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and borrow Princess Emmy. And we're going to say we're going to borrow the title. I'm hoping you can still see this, right, Rebecca?
Yes.
It said Barbo. Okay, so this is a Hoopla kid. So this is a kids movie. Now it is going to ask if you want to turn on the kids filter up here at the top so that you could browse all the kids movies. In this case, I like watching kids movies. I also like watching other movies, so it's totally fine with me, and I don't need to do anything with the kids mode. Okay, so I'm going to just X out of that, and then notice now that I have the option to play. Now this is going to play streaming over my active internet connection. So if I hit play, I'm going to hope you guys can see. And you probably won't actually be able to see the screen, but I'm hoping you can hear the sound at least.
It's showing
Maybe
the video.
Oh, yay! Good. Okay, last time it didn't actually show it on screen. But so here's what you get. You get a streaming movie that's streaming live with Princess Emmy here. Down here in the bottom corner, I can pause it. In the bottom left corner, that is, I can pause it. I can change my volume. I can see how far into the movie I am. On the right-hand side, I can see, sorry, you take just a moment here. I can see how long the movie is. I can also change my subtitles and turn them on and do them in English if I want. Or I can go into my settings and change some settings for the captions. I love that I have the accessibility feature here where I can change the text color of my captions and I can change the background color for my captions. That's very important. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm watching a movie, if it's all, if the background, the actual movie sometimes obscures the captions. So, okay. And then it's in full screen. So I could also take it out of full screen down here in the bottom corner. And then up at the top, I have the capability to close out of it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and X out. Okay, and now we'll see down here in my currently borrowed list is now Princess Emmy. Okay, so I'm gonna ask, does anyone have a suggestion for music? Either a subject area of music or a specific artist that we should check out? Anybody? No? How about you, Rebecca? You got a suggestion?
I was just going to say someone suggested folk music.
Okay, yeah,
If
let's
I
go
had
for
a
it.
suggestion, I would say movie soundtracks because I love movie soundtracks.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and start with folk. So I just put in folk, and it looks like we've got some folk bands here. So, and Irish folk, yeah, okay, let's go with Irish folk classics. I like that idea. So we're gonna go ahead and grab Irish folk classics. Looks good. And then you could kind of peruse the songs to see if you really want it. And then you can hit borrow the title. And then it's going to tell you when it returns. So we'll have this until March 2nd. Okay. And then when we want to play it, all we have to do is hit play. And then I don't know if you can see the player coming up in the corner. I'm hoping you can hear it at least. But it is now playing on my within my browser.
I don't hear it.
Oh, you don't hear it? Oh, darn.
We do have a
Okay.
question though.
Sure,
Is there a way
yes.
that you can sample the music before you check out?
So you can't really. There are some samples, but not really. So there's some sample content, but it's specific where it doesn't count against your checkouts. But for most of the music, I don't believe that you can sample, but that is a good question. Let me come back to
In my
music
experience,
here.
I don't believe you can either. I think you have to check it out.
I think you yeah. So like, for example, if we were looking here, oh, sorry, we wanted folk. Let me go back and see if we can get folk as a category here. Dance, there's folk. So folk music here. So I think, for example, like, yeah, it would just be borrow. So you might look for it elsewhere first to sample it and then check it out through us. The really cool thing with music though is it is also released the same day it's released in stores. So if you were curious about possibly purchasing a CD or the digital copy of something, you could check it out through us first and preview it that way before you decided to buy it, which is one nice thing you could do by using music through the library. So yeah, okay. Well, if you can't hear it or see it, at any rate, we can go back and basically you can look at the view from here. So essentially what happens is it pops up with a little player at the bottom of your screen where it gives you the song that you're playing, and then you can go forward or backward and you can change the sound. Okay. So the My Account, My Hoopla section, basically, like we said, it shows you what you've currently borrowed. You can also see your borrowing history. You can see recommended titles and the favorites, like we talked about. There isn't really a whole lot else to share with that. So let me stop sharing and jump in there real quick so you can see. So if I go to My Hoopla, and then I have, here's what's currently borrowed now, recommended, and the favorites. Now, if you needed to change anything, oops, let me exit out of that. If you need to have help with Hoopla, they do have down at the bottom of the screen where it says help. You can ask for help there and you can peruse their help screens, but it is pretty easy to use. It's pretty user-friendly. Up here in the top corner where you see the little icon, the gear icon, that's for settings. If I click on that, it's going to show me my account information. So I'm logged in as our demo account. You can opt into getting emails. You can opt into the kids mode. You can opt into showing or hiding your borrowing history. And that's also where you could log out. Okay. Your library information, if you tap on that, that's where your card is stored. Recommendations, that's where you again can pick what you want, and then which email address is associated and which password is associated. Okay, so you can change that stuff yourself if you need to. Okay, any questions about Hoopla? That's pretty much my demo for Hoopla. So I'll open it up for questions if anybody has a question.
I don't see any so far.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Kanopy then. And what I'm going to do for Kanopy, I'm going to go through, I'll go through the slides first, and then we'll do the full live demo without jumping back and forth, because I think jumping back and forth is a little jarring. So we'll try it this way. So, okay. So for Kanopy, it's streaming movies and TV shows. So with Kanopy, you cannot download it to a device. You can play it streaming over an active internet connection. Items check out for 72 hours. There's no waiting, no holds, which is great. You can search for an item in the Kanopy app or the CPL catalog, which I will show the catalog view in a moment. And you can typically check out those 10 items per month. And you can recheck out an item if you want to watch it a second time or third time or fourth time or however many times. Okay. But again, you get 10 items per month. So in this case, it's actually 20, again, because of the situation we're in now. And for us, it's for Champaign card holders. For others, please do check with your home library and see if they have access. You can also encourage your home library to get Kanopy if they don't already have it. All right. So to create an account, for a new account, you can go to champaign.org/Kanopy, then tap on Use Kanopy, click the login, and then you'll come up to here. And if you had an account, you could log in down here with an email address and password. But if you don't have an account, you're going to hit Don't Have an Account, Get Started up here at the top right. And then you're going to say, yes, I have a public library card, and try to find your library. Okay. Once you find your library and you select Champaign Public Library, you'll add your library card information. And then most importantly, you're going to confirm your account via email. So they're going to send you an email that you will click on to confirm your account. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, for some of you, when you're at home, it may ask for you to log in with your library card first before it gets to that point of asking for your library information. You're going to have to do, here's my library card and PIN number, and then set up your account. Okay. Once you get into Kanopy, you'll have the chance to search for movies. It's very strong on independent films and documentary films, and things like the Great Courses series is in here. So I encourage you to give it a chance to check it out, browse, see what you can find in there. So you can do a simple search up here at the top. Again, anytime you see a magnifying glass without a plus or minus sign, it's usually going to mean search. If it has a plus or minus sign, it's usually going to mean zoom in or zoom out. So you can search by title, author, subject, keyword, pretty much whatever you want. Again, here's our demo search for cats. And then the videos and subjects and everything will come up right there. And again, just like with Hoopla, you can sort your results by using the filters on the left-hand side. You can sort by what might be most relevant, most popular, recently added, and then again, the A to Z titles, or Z to A. Okay. You can also, I should also say, you can also search, once you've searched, you can also limit by, if you see behind here where it says languages, whether or not it has captions, the year of production, whether or not you have public performance rights, all of that kind of stuff. Okay. And then across the right-hand side, you can narrow it down even more. If you were looking for a person named Cats, you could jump onto people over here If you were looking for a company where cats was the first or somewhere, appeared somewhere in the company name, you could look in companies. Okay. Okay. And then to browse for movies, again, you just tap browse, and then you can pick from the various selections here. Documentaries, again, they're very strong on documentaries. The arts, including both performance art, theater arts, the visual arts. They have multiple topics in business, education, health, social studies. There's cooking lessons. There's all sorts of stuff in here. Okay. And then to check out, all you have to do is tap on the title and it'll bring up a page like this. And then all you have to do to check out is to press the play button. So you do want to be careful with Kanopy, especially on your mobile devices, that you don't accidentally tap on the play button somewhere, because that will check it out to you. Okay. And sometimes Rebecca has pointed this out before, and I think rightly so, that sometimes it's a little hard to see the play button based on whatever is behind as far as the cover image for the movie. So sometimes if it's like a dark black, mostly black cover, it's a little hard to see the play button even. So you could also add it to the list for future checkout. So if you see where it says my list right here in the left hand, just above the red square, you could add it to a list for future checkout. You can read the synopsis down here. Underneath the synopsis is actually customer comments, where for other customers that have watched the movie and given their thoughts. Okay, and then on the right-hand side, you have related videos. Okay, and we'll do the whole thing in just a second. So, and then to watch in the browser, it's very easy. Just like with Hoopla, pulls up, looks very similar to YouTube or a lot of other video players. The play button's off on the left-hand side, so is the volume, how long the movie is. You can also play it at like 2x the speed. So if you want to speed it up, you can speed it up a little bit. You have your closed captions. You can do picture in picture. So if you wanted to keep it small, you can keep it small. Then here's that same symbol for casting it to a TV. And then you have the full screen. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to do all of that live with you, and feel free to stop me and ask questions as we go along. And Rebecca, feel free to do the same. Okay. All right, we may have, oh, we got to update our card information. Well, it may not let us check out if we have to update our card information. Okay, we'll give it a shot here though and see. So here, if I want to browse, I can tap that and I can tap on browse and get
Still
all
showing, I'm sorry, it's still showing your PowerPoint.
Oh, okay. Let me jump from there to there then. How about now?
Yes.
Okay, so here's, I'm going to go back to the home page here so you can see. So here's the home page. And you can see on the home page too that there's these newly added movies, newly added documentaries. So you can also browse these lists, sort of like Netflix or some of the other clients that are out there, where you can kind of just browse through these too. And as you hover over them, it gives you a little synopsis. And then you can either watch it right away or you can add it to your list. So what I'm going to do, and again, they also have a kids mode, so you could go to Kanopy Kids here. If you want to browse specifically, you can tap on browse and it'll bring up everything here, or you can pull from the pull down list here and go to things this way. Okay, so if you were interested specifically in, say, science and maybe geology, you could hit agriculture and geology and get movies that deal with agriculture and geology, like this. You can also search up at the top. I really like the Great Courses, so I'm going through the Great Courses series. So if I put Great Courses up here, I can look down here at suppliers and people and feel the Great Courses. And then it'll look at the actual Great Courses here. And then I could pick, say, let's see, what do you guys think? What should we look for? What do you folks feel like we should investigate here? Maybe state parks. So here's some state parks. Let's take a look at the state parks a little bit more closely. unless anybody has another suggestion. If you do, feel free to put it in the chat. I actually just watched the series about state parks just the other day. So here, for example, the first episode is Niagara Falls. Now, again, just like with Hoopla, each of these episodes would normally count as a checkout. The great courses, though, are a special deal right now where it actually doesn't count against your checkouts, which is one of the reasons why I really like the great courses. So I can go ahead and select the Niagara Falls one, and let me see if, let's see. Okay. We got to change.
Do you want me to send you my card information?
I actually can just log in with mine. So give me just a second here and I will switch this over. But I do want to show you the watch list. So if you've added anything to your watch list, here's where you can see that watch list. So you could watch now, or you could remove it from your watch list. You can also see your viewing history if you've enabled it. So you can see everything here that you've done. You can set your own playlists too of certain episodes from certain shows and put them in a playlist. And then the My Memberships is going to tell you which library you belong to. And I think this is just because we probably have to update our address, is my guess. But let's see. So yeah, so we'll take care of that. So let's see. Let me just save that and see if that takes care of it. Updating our credentials. Okay, yep, I think that's all I had to do. So occasionally you have to go through and you have to update your credentials, which is what we just did. So let's go back to Great Courses. It's always fun when you're doing stuff live, right? Sometimes you get some fun stuff. Okay, so we're gonna go to suppliers, Great Courses. Let's see, we were looking at state parks, right? So I'm gonna add state parks to this list. All right, and we got Niagara Falls. And if I wanted to play it, so you see how that play button is a little hard to see, even on this. As soon as I tap that play button, that actually checks this out to me. So if I hit play, it checks it out to me. Now, I don't know if you can hear that.
I can't hear it, but I can see the video.
Okay, but you can see it. Okay, so again, if I wanted to do full screen, tap there. I can play it faster. I can do captions. I think this is a picture in picture. So, and down here, it gives me the rest of the episodes in this series with great courses. So that gives you the idea. So again, with Kanopy, it is streaming. So you have to have an active internet connection if you're on a computer or if you're on a phone or tablet. So that's why for a lot of us that have data plans, if we don't have a lot of data with our data plans, it does take a lot to do streaming actively. So that's why with Kanopy, I will usually only do it when I'm at my home with my home Wi-Fi connection or at another Wi-Fi that I trust. Okay. All right. If you go to your account information, you can see your memberships. Again, that's where you have your library card information. Your dashboard is going to show videos that are recommended for you based on what you've already watched. Your play credits, here it's telling me I have 20 of 20. It's also up here in the far right corner. Okay. Any questions about Kanopy?
We have had a couple questions about getting it on your TV. How would you go about doing that?
So what I do, I actually have a Chromecast, which is a device that plugs into actually I can show you. Let me see if I can. So it's a little device that looks kind of like a hockey puck with an HDMI plug that I plug in the back of my TV, and it uses the Wi-Fi signal in my house, and I connect it to Wi-Fi. And because my other devices are also connected on the same Wi-Fi network, then my iPad or my Surface laptop or my regular laptop, I can go into my browser like this, and I can go into my watch list since I was just, oh, sorry, my viewing history, since I might not even show since I just started it. And then right here, when I go to play it, I can use the little, there's usually a little, on my different devices over here, there's the Chromecast signal will show up where I can then cast it to my TV. And that was that little square that had the little Wi-Fi signal in the corner that you also saw on the Hoopla screen. And then I can cast it to my TV. So,
I'll also throw out there that I have a device kind of similar. It's called a Roku device, ROKU. And it's a device where you can get different apps. For instance, I have the Kanopy app on there. I have an app for Hoopla on there. And then it also has other apps that you can get like for Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or whatever. And that helps kind of consolidate all of your streaming services.
yeah, and there's also, I just went to the support section at Kanopy, which is at the bottom of the page here on the right-hand side where it says support, and typed in TV. And then you can see the Kanopy, which TVs the Kanopy app is available for. And you can see here, like Rebecca said, she has a Roku, and for me, I have a Chromecast. But if you have Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung Smart TV, these are all TVs that can play Kanopy content. And then you can see over on the side here too, these will give you instructions for example, watching Kanopy on an Android device, or perhaps a Kindle Fire, or a Samsung TV. So it'll walk you through the setup process. And again, you can call us if you have trouble setting things up, and we can try to troubleshoot for you too. And if we can't help, we'll send you to Kanopy support and see if they can help too. But you do have to be careful. You do have to have, if you have an older smart TV, it may or may not be able to play the Kanopy content. And at that point, you do want to check the support page here to see if it has your TV on it. Great question.
And we do have the intro to streaming class that we held last December, and it's coming up in March, I believe. We're holding it again. So if you'd like that intro to streaming link, I can send you that link also. And we cover stuff like the Chromecast and just general information about streaming and how to do it and all the ins and outs, kind of.
Yeah. If I stop sharing this, I can share our calendar of upcoming by going to champaign.org/events. You can see our upcoming list of events. We will also be sending out our email that goes out once a month. That will be hopefully going out either today or tomorrow, which has all of March's upcoming classes. The intro to streaming class is actually on the 2nd, so it's actually next week. Is that right? Next week? 2 weeks? Next week? I think it's next week. Trying to think what day is today. The 23rd. Yeah, it's next week.
Yeah, it's next Tuesday.
So next Tuesday, we have our Intro to Streaming Services class, where we will talk about also things like Netflix and Hulu and all of those services that are out there. We have an article from PC Magazine that kind of compares them, and a couple of other resources that we can share if you're thinking of what they say is cutting the cord. But if you're thinking of venturing into streaming services, that's a great class, great workshop to take and kind of familiarize yourself. So Rebecca's right to mention it. And then after that, of course, we have Intro to Cloud Storage and Intro to Google Tools, which are two things that also use internet to get you into cloud storage. Of course, would be things like iCloud, OneDrive, their Dropbox, things like that. If you haven't used cloud storage before and you're curious about it, workshop, we're going to demo 2 of the major services and talk about the things to consider, privacy issues, things like that. And then with Google Tools, we'll talk about Google Docs and Google Sheets and Google Slides, which are some of the more, I think the more common Google tools that people use, but there's quite a few out there. Google Forms is another one. So, and then at the end of March, we're going to get into taking photos with smartphones and tablets. This is one of my favorites to teach. I used to work for a professional photographer and still have a lot of fun as a hobby photographer. And the best camera you have is the camera you have with you. And for a lot of us, that is our cell phone camera these days. So it's a good chance to leverage the camera on your smartphone to take better pictures. Well, not necessarily better, but hopefully better after you've come to the workshop and learned some of the techniques. So
You'll have a better understanding of what your phone can do.
yes, a better understanding of what you can leverage with it. So, okay. Other questions? I'm going to stop sharing that. Come back here.
I'm going to come back on video too. Let me
Yes.
view. There we go.
Yeah. Thank you for sticking with us too. We went over a little bit today too. This one usually runs at about an hour and 5-ish. So I appreciate everybody sticking with us. So, any other questions? Things we can help with? No.
I don't see any so far.
All right. Well, if you do, feel free to reach out. You can reach out to the library by calling us on the phone. You can chat with us. You can do a book a librarian. Again, you can reach out to us whatever way you'd like. We're happy to help. That's why we're here. So.
Yep.
All right. And we will send out a follow-up email from today's class. And we do have an activity sheet that we'll send out. And we also have an online feedback form now. So if you're willing, we'll take feedback.
Should I put that in the chat?
Sure, you can put it in the chat. Yeah. Oh, and you know what I forgot to do? I was going to show how it looks in the catalog. That's what I was going to show. Let me jump back in here just for a second so everybody can see. I'll share this one. So if you're in the library catalog, so hopefully this looks familiar to everybody as the library catalog. If you're looking to see if we have something through Hoopla or Kanopy, you can search. When you limit by here, you can limit to DVD, Blu-ray, and streaming for videos, for movies, okay? And then when you search, if you see something that looks like this, where it just has a little play icon like this, and it says the title, here, if you can see this, it says instantly available on Hoopla. So that's how you know this one is available on Hoopla. And if you tapped on it, since I'm signed into Hoopla right now, I don't remember if I'm signed in on this browser or not, but if I'm signed in yet. So here, it immediately takes me to this page where I could then tap borrow and immediately check it out. The same thing is true for Kanopy. So here's what it looks like if it's a regular DVD. Here's what it looks like if it's Blu-ray. And then here's what it looks like if it's Hoopla, where it says instantly available in Hoopla. And if it's on Kanopy, it looks like this right here, where it says instantly available for Champaign card holders. If I tap on that, it brings me to Kanopy here, where then I would hit watch now, and then I would log in with my Kanopy information, my email address and password for Kanopy. Okay, so sorry, yeah, I meant to share that at the end there too. So you can find things like we said, if you're trying to find a DVD and it turns out the DVD is checked out, you could also go in and see if it's available through Hoopla or Kanopy and check it out immediately. Okay. Sorry, thanks, Rebecca. That was the last thing I wanted
No
to...
problem. We did have one last question. Sure. I'm not sure if I'm getting this quite right. So if I'm not, just let me know. It's someone asking to see if there was an icon to get. Let's see, let me get back to the question here. The question was a Kanopy question, and okay. There was an icon they mentioned that it can be put onto your TV from Hoopla. Is there one like that for Kanopy?
Yes. So once you're connected, so for example, if I was connected to my Chromecast, it looks the same. Let me share what it looks like. I'm just going to jump into here and open a new one and say Chromecast. So the Chromecast icon basically looks like this. And once you're on a device, so over here on the the right-hand side. When you're on your device and you have your Chromecast set up, this right here will appear on your device. So when you're looking at that play screen on, say, your iPad screen, down in the bottom right-hand corner, or actually I think it's actually in the upper right-hand corner when you're on Kanopy, you're going to see this button, and then you say cast to TV. When you tap that button, and it casts it to your TV. For the Roku, I believe it's an app. So you would go to your TV and then you would browse to find the app and put it on your TV. Is that correct, Rebecca?
Yeah, with Roku, it's kind of like an app that's on your phone. So you open up the Kanopy app or open up the Hoopla app, and then it would prompt you to put your card information if you weren't already logged in, and then you could browse and check out from there and then watch right away, kind of like with Netflix or something like that.
Right. So yes, once you have it set up, this if you're specifically using a Chromecast, once you have it set up, then this is the icon that will appear in your device when you're going to play the Kanopy content. I hope that helps. I do it all the time. It's really nice to, I even while I'm cleaning my house, I will cast something from Kanopy from my my iPad to my TV so that I can watch it while I'm, say, vacuuming or dusting or things like that. So, okay, let me stop sharing there. Okay. Other last minute questions? Or not last minute, we're here as long as you need us. we can keep talking until all the questions are answered.
Well, I don't see any more questions, but you guys know where to reach us. Librarian@champaign.org is our general librarian email, or give us a call, or shoot us a personal email if you'd like.
Yes,
also.
Yeah. And my contact information is also in the follow-up, the handout in the last slide there too. So you can always reach out to us there as well.
Okay. Thank you everybody for attending. We will see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.